Okay, you know the drill. Now you have already tried the homework, and I'm going to go quickly through my own homework, and we will make sure that we are getting the same thing. Number 1 wants you to write the percent as a decimal, and so I think of that as a 3 with the decimal behind it, and I need to go twice to the left. So there's your number 1. Number 2 will be the same. It starts out like this, and so it would be a 0.402. Okay, number 3 and 4 is to write them as a fraction. So if it's 610%, I would first change that into a decimal, so it would be a 6.10. And then if I need to change that to a fraction, well, the 6 is a whole number, so it's out front, and then I read the decimal as 0.10. Okay, so your teachers may have told you before, the 0 at the back you can kind of ignore if it's a 0 at the back. So this is really just 1/10, and it could be written like that. Okay, if you did this, that's okay too, but then you could reduce 10 over 100. You could reduce that, and it would be 6 1/10. So you'll get the same thing I did, hopefully. All right, number 4, 64%. I'm going to move that decimal over twice, and then I'm going to read my number as 64 100ths, okay? And then they're both even, so I know that 2 goes into both of those. I actually know that 4 goes into both of those. 4 goes into 64 16 times. 4 goes into there 25 times. So if you reduced your fraction correctly, that is what you would have. All right, number 5, write the number as a percent. So now my decimal's moving twice in the other direction. There's number 5. Number 6, 0.005, okay. The decimal's moving twice to the right, so it looks like it would be a 0.5%. And you could put the 0 in the front, it's fine, it doesn't matter either way. Number 7, write it as a fraction, so 0.348. So you read that number to yourself, 348 thousandths. That's in the thousandths place, so it would be over 1,000. And then reduce that if you would like. It looks like 2 goes into both of those. Does 4 go into both of those? Yes, it does. Okay, 4... Ugh, this one's hard to reduce. Okay, if you have a hard time reducing, just start cutting things in half. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just keep dividing by 2 until I can't do it anymore, okay? So 2 goes in there once, 7, 174, 7, that's right. And then 2 goes in there 500 times. Okay, they're both still even, so divide by 2 again. And we're going to get 2, cutting that in half, that would be 87 over 250. Okay, I think that's as far as it goes. If you found another way to break it down, let me know, and I'll go back and fix mine. Okay, number 8 is 0.667. And we are going to turn that into a fraction. So same thing, that's the number 667 thousandths. And that is going to be a booger to reduce. I don't even think it does. You'd have to have a number that goes into both of these. And 3 doesn't, 9 doesn't, 7 does, 7, I don't even think 7 does. Okay, so anyway, I think that you are finished right here. And I don't know, that's not a decimal there. Okay, it was a scribble. That's what it should look like right there. Okay, so now let's see what is next. That was number 8. So number 9 wants you to write this as a percent. So the way that I would do this is to write it as a percent. I'm first going to turn it into a decimal. This is 2.5, okay, because 1/2 is 0.5. And then we're going to do a percent by moving it twice to the, which way do we need to go? To the left or to the right? So decimal 2%, Dr. Pepper's to the right. So this is going to be 250%. Okay. Number 10 is the same thing. It's 3/20. So before I can do it as a percent, I'm going to turn it into a decimal. So remember, that's where you get to divide. And so 20 does not go into 3. So you put a decimal, but 20 goes into 30 one time. Do my long division magic. And maybe let me drop one more 0. So 20 goes into 100. How many times is that? 5 times. So 0.15. So the decimal is 0.15, which means the percent is 15%. All right, number 11. Write them as a decimal. Okay, 5/8 as a decimal we have to divide. So 5 divided by 8. 8 does not go into 5. Okay, so I need to put a decimal point and some zeros. 8 doesn't go into 5, but 8 goes into 50. How many times is that? 6 times. 8 times 6 is 48. Subtract and get 2. Bring down the 0. How many times does 8 go into 20? Twice. 16, 4. Okay, so we could keep going and going and going if we want. I'm going to actually stop there. And because I've got at least 2 decimal places, which is how many I need to move this over. So this is about 62%. Okay? All right, that was number 11. Number 12 is 8 and 89/100ths. Okay, this one looks like it's really bad, but it's the easiest one on the paper. You want to know why? Look at that denominator. It's already the 10 or the 100 or the 1000 that we've been seeing all day. So when you read this number, you can read it as 8 and 89/100ths. That's it, 8.89. If you did the division or something on it, you would still get the same thing, but you don't have to do a lot of work because it's already written like it needs to be put into a decimal. Okay, 13 is where we start having fun. Okay, 13 are the real world things. Find the selling price of each item. Okay, so the hat was $34.99 and the discount's 20%. So if the discount's 20%, remember you turn it into a decimal of 0.2 or 0.20, and that's what you're going to multiply by. Yes, I am going to use my handy dandy calculator because I don't have time to do a lot of this multiplication by hand. If you did it by hand, good for you. That's actually really awesome. So it's $6.99. Okay, well 699.8 rounds to $7. So if you subtracted $6.99, that's fine. I'm going to subtract 7. And I'm going to get whatever that is. Okay, that's going to be 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27. So I'm getting $27.99. Now this is dollars. It did not say to do tax, so I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay? All right, very good. So let's just make sure. $34.99 minus, where are you minus? There it is. Minus 7. All right, good. $27.99. So that's what I would have done. All right, 14. Original price is $11.99, and we're doing a discount of 40%. So just like on the last one, 40% is the decimal 0.40. So I'm going to do $11.99 times 0.40. And my discount is $4.796, which means it'll round to $4.80. So what do you do with that $4.80? Well, that's your discount, so you subtract it from the original price. So bring down the 9, that's a 1, and what's 11 minus 4? That would be 7. So $7.19 is the new price. All right, number 15. We're going to have a discount, but also tax. So we're going to have it's 77.5 is the original, times the discounted price of 50. And then at the end, we're going to have a tax of 3%. So I'm just going to kind of keep that in mind, okay? So let's, I don't know what state we're in because that's not normal, but that's okay. Let's do the math on this. So 77 0.5 times 0.5. So we're cutting it in half, so that's 38.75. And this is half the amount. So if you want to subtract this from 77.50, you can, but you will get 38.75. And then we need to put the tax back on. So if tax is 3%, then that is 0.03 as a decimal. I don't know how many people probably missed that. You got to move that decimal twice to the left. And that's what we're going to multiply by to get how much to add back on. So 38.75 times 0.03, and that is $1.16. $1.16. So we're going to take our 38.75, which is our sales price, and add back on tax. Tax is always added back on. So I am getting $39.91. Okay, number 16 is very similar to number 15. So we have an expensive puppy, it looks like, and we're discounting the puppy by 30%, and then we're going to have a tax here in a minute of 5%. So 5% tax. Okay, so I just made myself some little notes so that I don't have to keep looking back at my homework. All right, 149.5 times 0.3, and that would be 44.85. 44.85 minus, what did I say? 44.85. Okay, so we're going to math that out. 149.5 minus 44.85. Okay, so that's 104.65. Now, that's the sale price of the puppy, but we now have to multiply that by tax, which is 5%. So this needs to be multiplied by, if it's 5%, it's 0.05 as a decimal. So let's do that, times 0.05. So the tax is $5.23. And that's what we're going to add back on. So 104.65 added back on the tax. 88901. Okay. So the puppy after tax and with the discount is $109.88. And the last two are the percent stuff. So we are changing from 50 into 31.4. So I consider if it's from 50 into 31.4, that's like the old number, that's like the new number, okay? And our formula was to subtract these two. And in fact, it was the new minus the old over the old, okay? Or original. So, no, you could think of it as, no, I don't want to do this. Okay, so N minus O over O, okay? So let's calculate that. Okay, we're going to have 31.4 minus 50, okay, and that equals negative 18.6, and then we're going to divide that by 50. Okay, I'm getting a negative 68.6. Now, you're probably a little frustrated because there's a negative, and you're like, what the heck does that mean? Well, let's just change it to a percent first, then we'll worry about what that means. Okay, we have a decimal right now, and I'm trying to find the percent. So Dr. Pepper rules. So the decimal goes twice to the right. Right? Did I do that right? Twice to the right. I don't think that thing divided right. Hold on just a second. Let me go back. That was weird. That should have been 31.4 minus 50, negative 18.6. Okay, so we're going to do, where's the divided by? Divided by 50. 0.372. That's much better. Sorry, you got something different than me. Okay, negative 0.372. Okay, don't let the negative freak you out. Let's just change the decimal to a percent first, which means the decimal moves twice to the right. So we're getting a negative 37.2%. Okay, That negative, you actually don't want to write the negative, but you want to understand what it means. If you get a negative in the front, it means that there was a decrease. Okay, that's all that it means. So my number decreased from 50 to 31.4 by 37.2%. So that's the percent decrease if you get a negative. So don't wig out on that. Just take original minus new, and then, or new minus original over original. Just do it like this with the formula, and then if you get a negative, that's all it means, is that the number went down. Okay? Number 18, from 24 to 36. Okay, so the original's 24. The new number's 36. I'm going to do the formula n minus o over o. So the new minus the old over the old. So the new is 36. The old is 24 over the old. And I'm going to see what this is in my handy dandy calculator. Maybe I'm not because I lost my calculator. Okay, so 36 minus 24 is actually 12. And that's over 24. And so if you're doing it in the calculator, good for you. This is actually 1/2, which means you should be getting 0.5, which is a 50%. Now, since it was positive, that means an increase in percent change, which makes sense because the number got bigger. So it's a 50% increase. Okay, hopefully that helped, and we will see some of y'all at tutoring.